is, we'll just talk about it, and any other business as may be required. So first of all, do we need a regional impact vote? No, nothing on there for that. We need that. So I will go on to approval of the minutes of July 11, 2024. We have a motion to approve those minutes. Motion by Michael York and seconded by Richard, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
So is there any further discussion, changes or alterations or anything about minutes? Okay, then all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And I abstain. So getting down to business then, our first item up there is a Hyperbaric Fitness LLC site plan modification. Have everything in front of us here. Who do we have here for it? Well, you guys are over there hiding.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. You guys can come up to the front there.
You don't trust you sitting behind us.
Thank you.
So-
I'm Michael McCosker. I work at
Michael
Fitness.
Michael McCosker.
McCosker. And this is Joe May, owner of Hyperbaric Fitness, resident of Swanzey.
Michael's my marketing director and my son-in-law, so he has to be. This
And I'm sorry, your name, sir?
Joseph May, M-A-B.
So this is a site plan modification. So the board just needs to take a look and have a consensus whether you agree if it's a site plan modification or not. So generally in a site plan modification, it doesn't really alter anything. Anything that's been going on there, plain talk anyway, going on there, stays going on there, no additions, no additional business or any of that type of thing. This one is gonna have two small buildings taken down by the looks of it. Are there three there or two, right?
There's actually a third outbuilding that's also brought in.
That's coming down too, right?
Yes.
So there are three of those small buildings coming down and they're going to enclose the area there. So at first sight, this looked like it wasn't a site plan modification to me anyway, because they were increasing the size of the building by another building, same exact size. But I went down there to take a look at it and it's a waiting area right on the end of that building, which is that same size, which they're using tables so people wait before they go in there. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna enclose it with actually greenhouse material. They're paper panels, probably about, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. Is that correct?
Yeah,
They're gonna be probably like a pole barn structure with the panels around it and on top too, into the roof. It's gonna be the same too.
It would be a similar pitch to what we currently.
So basically, I guess it is in a greenhouse, it's closing that area there. But anyways, getting back to the initial question, is this a site plan modification or do they have to make for site plan?
So this is the site plan?
This is it, yeah. And there is another copy of it, I could have a copy there, we don't have that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about
That
that.
is the old site plan, that was initially approved. There is the, that is the new one.
Oh.
They were initially approved under.
Multi-tenant, yeah, because they had the hot dog stand was there, I think the ice cream stand was there, yeah, it still is a multi-tenant. It's approved.
So those are the last two documents in the packet.
And also just for point of discussion, we're just putting the greenhouse back that was there before. I know it's been like 7 years or whatever, but when we bought the property, it came that when we saw the print out of the property, it had a greenhouse on it.
This is a selling point for us.
The selling point for us because we wanted a greenhouse, but, so anyway, we're just putting it back, actually a little smaller than the original footprint. Like, I think you were there, Scott. It's about 20 feet back from where it used to be, so the smaller greenhouse than was already there.
But it's still 30 by 40, correct?
Sure.
Yeah. That's about the size of that pad, it looked like to be on the back, not even the pad, it's gravel.
Is it connected to the existing?
Oh, no,
So,
no.
before we get into it, let's decide. It's a modification, in my opinion, it's a modification because of those reasons, they aren't changing anything, they're removing a couple of buildings. And business is staying the same, parking staying the same, everything else, they're doing that, but we need to hear from the board on that.
Is the business staying the same? I'm just not slow on this. So this, Mike Jason's notice says that the use of the greenhouse space or storing animals.
People are gonna wait there. And
While I'm in the chamber, I park my dog.
I don't know about that.
so we do have a large, right, currently it's a waiting area outside. We don't really have that many people that like to utilize it, but we have a lot of people that bring their pets and want a space for them to just be. And so that would allow them to do that
Yeah.
during the winter or summer.
And we also do pets in our tank right
You
now.
do.
Oh, yeah, right. We're the only, literally in the world that there's a person in their pet. Nobody else does that. So what we want to do is get rid of some of those unsightly buildings, move all that equipment into the back part of the greenhouse. Because one, it makes more economic sense because it's heated and I don't have to run space heaters on there. And also it'll be cool heated automatically by solar beam, which I'm really into the green footprint, so I don't want to spend more electricity. And second of all, some people, so we have other tanks, some people can't, they're allergic to dogs or cats, so we can't bring the dogs or cats into the building. And now more people have pets than children, so we just want to be able to serve all the requests of our current customers.
This isn't changing.
No.
What you're doing there isn't changing.
No, it's just allowing a little bit more of a, not a service.
We're having people
Making
not
people happy.
respond to cat dander when they come into our building. It's a big deal. I mean, 10 years ago, no one was, now everybody's like allergic to dogs or cats or something. It's just crazy. So we have to separate the people from the pets.
And just for my own personal information, do I bring my dog with me at the same time? Is that how it works? So do you do the dog separately?
You bring your little Fifi and put it right across from you. And you handle your dog, no one touches your dog, just you and Fifi. And you both get 2,000% more stem cells.
Okay.
That's how it works.
We will also offer, we're kind of doing the experimental side of the pet operation now, but if somebody needs to drop their pet, we'll have them in a crate.
Yeah, we'll do it for you, but we really want you with your dog.
Got it. Thanks.
I'm not certain, you're talking about enclosing this building, correct? Or you're not enclosed, but you're going to be adding electrical.
It's an open spit pad right now with crushed stone. And so it would be just closing that space. There's no building there currently.
Okay, so you're closing, you're putting a roof on it.
It's a greenhouse.
You're gonna be heating it.
Okay.
Okay, there's a lot of mechanical stuff going on. I want to see something. More than just saying, okay, you can do this. And this is besides this, the air tank, where's that going?
It can either stay there since we approved it there, or they told me it was going behind the building.
Okay, so,
We're moving it 3 feet.
pardon me?
We're moving the air tank 3 feet
Into where.
into where it's already in it. There's three buildings. The air tank is
It's sitting out there by itself, but
it's already out there underneath another greenhouse on it. We're just pulling that down and just moving it 3 feet over. It's already on its own path.
it's not that close.
Yeah,
It's somewhat, there was one, when I was in anyways, there was one side of the building, I think, but it was, had a roof over it.
The air tank is current.
it's enclosed in the greenhouse. One of our outbuildings is a 10 by, it's a 10 by 8 or 10 by 10.
It's shed, that's
It's a shed.
has our air compressor, and then off of that is the corrugated plastic little greenhouse structure that has our air tank.
Okay, when I was over there a week ago, I saw, I can see your old ice cream place, the next building, and beyond that, there was what appeared to be a huge tank.
Those are our air receiver tanks that are gonna go into the greenhouse. Yeah.
Okay, so those are gonna be moved inside.
Yeah.
I want to see something more formal.
Hey, Richard wants to see something more formal, drawing. Is it really a modification, or did they have to come back with something more? Or something more, that's a question, right?
I consider a modification myself. Modification,
Like,
I think it'd be worth it to have something more normal, so we have it on record.
Victoria?
I'm thinking about parking relative to. I'm not sure, is the parking specified?
The
I didn't
parking,
have time to go, so.
yeah, but The parking, I doubt would change because they aren't utilizing any of those areas for parking. They're utilizing areas over here for parking, over there. for
So
parking.
that's far removed from the tank and
Yeah.
structures.
Yeah.
And there's no circulation behind these, so you don't drive behind the.
No, it's all fenced.
No,
Oh.
yeah. The property angle, you can see the property line right there.
I think it's a modification.
So that's, I think it's a modification, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I didn't get my voice.
Michael said it was a modification. So Michael said modification, Brandon modification. Charlie modification. And Victoria modification, me modification. Mark, not a modification, and Richard not a modification, so it looks like it's, the board is considering a modification.
I thought you said it was one of the. Anyway, it's like, okay, so.
So it's not, oh, yeah, okay, that means, yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah.
His vote was different. His vote was for more information,
Or modification 3,
so that's 1,
2,
2,
4.
3 modification, 4, or 3 more information, 4 modification, that's how it's.
Before I submit my vote, could I just ask, how, again, like my question last week? This is something that
We will be talking about this later.
the town needs to
We're,
put on file for us. Is this something that as staff, you guys feel like you can adequately address issues?
we're going to bring this up later in this meeting. About.
It affects my vote.
True, so I personally, I don't like the site.
Okay.
But they're not modifying this specific site plan, they're taking the pad, and they're covering it, so that pad's already site. This is another kind of funny note, kind of like last week with Rock Formier. I'm okay with them drawing a line to this, to scale what they did. Only because that had already existing and we can already see the outline on a map.
Okay, just so to be clear,
You
I'm
also-
all about files. Okay, so just knowing that this is gonna live in town hall, this is gonna represent what you're doing, and staff has to work with it. That's why I'm asking. Just to make sure that it's something that we can be fair and equitable with everybody else.
That is what was approved.
I do also have some building plans that I can bring to the next meeting. And we can back some of that, but I had kind of asked Adam. It's like, I'm not sure if this is too much or what I need to do is work out, so, yeah.
Okay, so it's 3 to 4, that is a modification. So, or 4 to 3 is modification.
Taking you to my.
So now we can go into, other information that we have here. Mike, Jasmine sent us a memo here. And to me, it's not really clear what he's talking about, but everyone had it in front of them there. It says it was presented to me that this space would be used for the accessory use of pet sitting of those animals belonging within 2 customers of the on-site business at our barrack chamber during sessions and appointments. This space has not been reviewed by my office for any other use. But it looks to me like it's not gonna be used for any other use, right?
Yeah.
Gonna use it for pet sitting, so if it's gonna be used, I think what Mike is saying, if it's gonna be used for any other use, that he wants to review. Okay, that is what he's talking about, okay, that's the letter, so anyways, they're coming for us for the uses of the pet area.
And one other thing that he did put on there, the existing building that's there is within the setback, so he just wants to make sure that this new structure is not within the setback.
Yeah,
That is within the setback,
it's
right?
25 feet.
It's not, it's,
Yeah, the way the property line slopes, it makes that, yeah, it makes sense that building is. It could be 20 feet from the property line.
I'm just,
Please do.
yeah, that is 20 feet, okay, 20 feet.
Yeah, it's 20
20
feet.
Okay, so we can see what they're doing there, as, I explained, they're enclosing, we talked about they're enclosing that gravel area out back there, and I don't know if anybody else, I think it's Richard had been to it. they're already using that site, it looks like for a waiting area, it's gonna be closed. But you said, about heating the building, and are you running utilities out to the building?
So we already have utilities out to those sheds.
Yeah.
We're just literally plugging, we're literally just going this way, 3 feet.
So are you gonna use that in the winter time as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so you will need lights out there, obviously.
Yeah, lights.
It's pretty dark. 5 o'clock in the winter.
Yeah, we have a, right now in one of the sheds, our most insulated shed, we have a 3-phase power converter, which I don't personally, there's already 3-phase that it comes over, I could pay $40,000 and have it officially, not just a small business, I don't want to spend 40 grand for a 3-phase power. But it's already on the property.
The ice cream shed, that's a separate service.
Yeah, the ice cream
Just
shed.
Shifting over and then.
The ice cream shed isn't 3-phase though.
No, it is
Right.
not.
No,
No, it's
no,
the,
it's 220.
the brown shed is where the three-phase converter is, but now it all gets shut.
Yeah, and it's just, we just have regular 220 coming in, and we have a converter, phase converter.
Yep.
Um,
And that's running your compressor.
Yeah,
Yeah, and actually, it's a pretty quiet compressor.
It is.
Even quieter when it's in that sort of.
when it's in a greenhouse, it's even quieter.
Then we don't have to.
It's,
vent.
48 decibels.
So then are you planning on using the heat from that compressor to heat that greenhouse?
Absolutely.
Because they generate a lot of heat.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's how you're gonna do
To vent it out of the shed.
Yeah, we have to vent it right out to cold, that's a waste.
You know where in that greenhouse that.
Everything's gonna be at the very back wall with a false wall and an access door, just it's just gonna be, won't even be all the way up.
Cubicle walls.
They just keep the walls across in the very back, so nobody will see it. And they might see the top of our storage tanks, or air storage tanks. But it's gonna be a, 30-foot area, it's all just the pets in the tank, and then, yeah. Chairs, we're gonna get rid of all the old, we saw the old furniture, we're gonna get rid of all that. Get new.
And just to be clear on those other buildings, it shows 2, but they're actually 3, correct?
Yeah.
You're gonna take all 3, eventually all
Yeah.
3 of those are coming down.
We want them down, yeah. Yeah, we want, just us looking at it.
So the only thing that's happening on this, you're not serving ice cream, the only thing that you're doing on this property is the hypothermic chamber, and that's the only use that we're approving.
Yeah.
And just for my own information, what's the typical number of people that you have at any given time? Yeah, and customers. Clients.
The maximum we can have in an hour and a half span is of clients.
Well,
At a time.
Right.
But if you drive by, you're gonna see that we're full parking lot.
Because it's usually the people that are coming into the next one.
Yeah, they're
So
coming
they
and
come,
going. We got people coming and
but
going.
it might be like 8 and 8. It's very rare that we're getting 12 and 12, 12, 12.
We maxed out we had 100 and our biggest week so far this year was 187. Total over 7 days. So, we go 7 days a week. So if we have 6 sessions a day, so we're averaging 4 to sometimes we have 14 in one session, but we're trying to.
Yeah, sort of that.
We're getting bigger, so,
And then we could clean up our parking situation with
Yeah.
those sheds as well. We've got some quotes on.
Yeah.
Paving additional spots.
we're trying to clean up the parking lot. That whole parking lot needs one overcoat. We're trying to do that too. But,
So when you come back for that, you'll have to come back for that,
Okay.
showing where the spaces are going.
Yep.
Be another modification probably, but,
Okay.
just to be clear about that.
Okay.
We'll probably end up putting parking where those buildings are, correct?
I'm hoping not.
No?
I'd rather
Okay.
be green grass
Well,
because we've.
Whenever you do it, just.
I will definitely ask you guys. Yeah.
So you're showing, I was showing, I think 14. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 parking spaces, is that correct?
I haven't seen that drawn one number. That was with you and,
We're using, okay.
oh, that was in front of the hot dog stand.
Yeah, that's.
Before that was.
So this is not relevant, you're saying?
The parking.
The parking, because when we move to the hot dog stand, there's all that gravel, so some people are parking in there where the hot dog stand used to be.
So we don't have any documentation of what your actual working parking scenario is.
It's a big open, it's just a big open spot.
Parkway.
At
At the moment, but it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty orderly. We never had an accident there.
But you're growing.
But they have ample room there, and it was like a gift type of a shop before these guys were in there, and there's a lot more traffic in there than I think there is now.
Which is why we wanna do greenhouse, then fix the driveway in series, but
Mhm.
one and then the other.
So you'll be introducing more lighting in this greenhouse area?
More lighting,
Yeah.
just LEDs, but yeah,
And
it'll
will it be external
be
lighting?
internal.
And they would,
And just out of curiosity, what's this building over here? It's a neighboring lot.
I think that is Mr. Roy's house,
Yeah, that's his garage.
or he has a thatch.
That's Eric Josh there.
But we can,
But no lighting will.
we're kind of done with everything by 6:30. And that would need to have a light on in there, so.
Right now, we don't have evening hours. If we did have evening hour, I would just be the building portion. Well, we do have some.
Not really past 6:30.
And again, if you change your hours, that's changing site.
Is it changing?
It is.
Site
If
plan?
you change the hours, it changes the site plan, so it would be a modification.
Okay, so
But you know,
if I do I mean, what does that mean?
that means that whatever was on the original site plan, whatever those hours were, if you change that, you just,
I guess we need to find out what was supposed to
Yeah.
for that.
it's on record, I'm sure, or in the town.
Okay,
It's on that one, yeah. So it's on the application over there, so whatever that was.
I'll go check about that this week.
So there are no surprises.
Yeah.
no, thank you, thank you.
How do we, if we're not going to do anything about making for the former thing, how do we get something that might be small as for the mechanical, the electrical, et cetera, when he does this inspection, making sure things are where they're supposed to be.
As far as where they're supposed to be, Mike takes a look at it to make sure that it's up to code. I don't know that Mike really should have a say of where their compressor is going or any of that. We know where it's going. It's in the back of the building. It's said in the meeting, it's in the minutes where it's going to the back of the building, but they aren't really changing a lot of a lot. You know, their compressors in one of these buildings and tank is in one of those buildings. It's going right back there. The tank is right there.
I see, this is coming in,
Yeah.
this is where the ice cream shed is.
Yeah.
This is where the building is.
Compressor building.
And then there's some,
Right, the tank is right there.
if they're moving the tank.
Just our
Are you
air
moving
receiver tank.
compressor? Did you say you're moving?
Yeah, we're gonna move all that stuff. We're gonna literally just, so it's,
The air receiver tank and the compressor, and then the electrical service we get. And that's it, into that building. Our main tank will still be in the brick building, the one that people go inside. That's how,
yeah,
Those are going to be isolated now from the area where people are going to be with their pets or whatever.
the cubicle,
just a wall.
cubicle wall, because there's no,
Yeah, they're, just so you know how it works is we have to have them, those are pressure vessels. And there's state and federal law that we are not just compliant with, but we are over compliant. So the safety issue is we never have that air for that tank filled up more than 150 PSI. And so every 5 years, we have to, it's called hydrostatic testing. It gets a little complicated, but we hydrostatic test every pressure vessel. Now, the state doesn't have the resources to inspect all the pressure vessels they're legally required to. So we, in this Swanzey Fire Department, we come over and look at whenever we hydrostatic test. We just did it for our main tank inside our building. The state didn't send anybody, they're required to check it. So they didn't, so we called Swanzey and the fire department came over and went, yep, that's a hydrostatic test, good job, and they signed off on it. So all of our equipment, we hydrostatic test, we have licensed electricians that come and look at it. And
he's worried about separation of people from this stuff.
oh, yeah, there's gonna be no access.
Yes,
To
the cubicle wall, so
It'll be
long as
the-
somebody's not trying to meddle. And
Yeah, sorry,
currently,
we're estimate safety.
we're currently a lot more prone to people meddling at the moment.
Yeah, we've had some metal problems. We've had people come and vandalize some of our stuff, so that's one of the reasons I got rid of that big, remember that big,
The truck.
there's a truck and then there was also a castle with a swing set. There were kids coming in smoking pot and spray painting it and all kinds of stuff off hours. I actually had somebody stay once in a while at night to watch the place because we had several weeks where they were getting in. So, we just finally just got rid of all the stuff. So,
Okay, any other questions? And anybody from the public, behind us, nobody behind us, nobody out there, the public on this?
Kind of just a request.
Yep.
But let's get into the minutes or into our approval or whatever. Which is that, you're gonna be growing, you're gonna be making changes to the site plan. And, I just, we need more information on the site. So the next time you come, and it doesn't, you don't have to hire an engineering firm to do it, but we need things to scale, we need information. We need all the elements to do the site plan, so, you can do that yourself. So
okay,
I've been learning because of that, so.
I think that would just make everybody feel more confident, if we really, it's
Is it once a month? Zoning board meetings, yeah.
Planning board, twice a month, 2 times.
So the next one would be August.
We could always come to staff.
Yeah.
you know.
And then if that's out of it, I can go see them and drop off some, well, I have right now, you guys have. Shoot me an email, tell me what I need to add to it, if I can more confident, so.
So Victoria, are you saying a condition for approval, wait a minute, would be just for them to bring in more information on site plan? And I think that's what you were just talking about.
Yes,
correct?
I'm more than willing to bring it.
All right. So let's,
I would feel.
would you like to make the motion
I
to
would
approve it
make
with that
that
condition?
motion, that I approve, I make a motion to approve this modification.
Just to make sure that it's.
That is a condition, it's part of the zone. We don't have to do that, but. Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
With the addition of such site plan information, then you guys, as you deem important to be able to monitor the growth and development.
So it would be a site plan with accurate placement of the buildings and any new buildings that are going on there. And where things are, such as the compressor, parking compressor and that, just
Set.
put that into a site plan, we can end up with something like that. To scale, because this isn't scale, I don't know where you got that, but this is scale, you give something just like that, and they can print it out for you, and just put it in there.
Yes,
That'd be great.
absolutely.
Is there a second to the motion?
But that was kind of what I was driving at.
It is, yeah, so Richard seconds the motion, is there any further discussion? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so you have your approval, and if you would be kind enough to come in with that information within the next week or two, bring it to one of these guys, and we'll be good. Okay, all right, good luck.
thank you very much. Well, you're all welcome to come for a three-hour tour.
Read the spelling of it.
Oh, on your testing, you fill it with water.
Okay. Oh, what?
You fill that hairball.
K-E.
Or volunteer with water.
And custard.
Yeah,
Close.
yeah. Look, very good.
Serious, okay. Exactly. All right, thanks.
You can do it there.
Well, if you were standing there, it wouldn't. Water station.
Once he's brought the, he's bringing that into your office for review or you can look at. Are we going to get another look at that?
We're gonna talk about it with our next meeting. I promise you. The next item-
Well, let's get to it then. We're on item B, which is 2025 zoning ordinance update. Is that in that one we're talking
Well, I
about?
want
Prior to that.
Yeah, so we want to go over things that don't need have photo approval. Chief among them are site plan modification requirements. I believe they are lacking currently. I think there needs to be a more formal process to bring these modifications before they work. at least a form. Something to get information on paper brought for you guys. I think there just needs to be a basic list of requirements. Because right now, there's none.
No, there isn't. No, we've done it by a case basis, and there have to be some standards that have to be met or not met in order for it to be a modification or not a modification. So we need to come up with some of those standards there, just so it's fair to everyone.
Yeah.
And that we know what we're doing as well.
Yep, and this and last meeting were two of the very good examples of why we need the process.
So maybe you can do a form for us to start with, to what you think we should have in that form.
Well, first of all, the board just needs to hammer out what is a modification, and we can do it right now. We've got plenty of time. What's a modification? A modification to a site plan, in my opinion, doesn't change any character of the site plan. They might want to move a building, might want to reposition over here, over there. They don't remove any parking, because that's been approved on the site plan. Anything on the drawing has been approved like that. So no parking is to be extended or removed. That's not a modification, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, not a modification. Modification might be, I would say, paving something that was gravel. That's a modification. You don't really change anything to the site plan, in my view anyways, you know, they come into the planning board for that and see what else might be a modification. They might want to modify their hours of operation. Nothing like that. Very minor things are for modifications. Anything else that they're gonna change, like they're gonna add a building there. Let's see, even sometimes taking down a building if it's a big enough size, just so that the abutters are notified and that they can come in and say, well, this or that, whatever they have to say about it, to give the abutters a chance to comment on it.
Change the purpose.
Good rule of thumb, right? So if I live next door to the place, what would I want to know?
Yeah,
That would
it
be
is,
a
right.
good
Yeah, if
sort of
anything's changed.
filter, wouldn't it be?
Like a home occupation, we have, you can have them by right now, we approve that, because it doesn't really modify the dwelling. You never know the person was in there working in the house or whatever it was. So really, there's no need to come in here. They used to come in here, you don't need to do that. Whereas a home-based business is a little bit different. You might have a couple of trucks parked outside, equipment stored outside, then abutters might want to comment on that.
In this instance, or in a generic instance, it seemed like, the business is perhaps expanding beyond what the original approval was. So that's,
And what do you mean? You know, how so?
I don't,
They're tearing down those two buildings there.
let's, I don't want to speak about that because I'm not, but so let's use,
Hypothetical.
yeah, a hypothetical where their current hours of operation are something, but they have, you know, they're gonna have more, what they call, you know, not shifts, but more opportunities
Yeah.
to use the, whatever the facility is, so. Which says to me, more parking, you know, more overlap, people coming and going, more circulation, you know, people trying to find a place for, I don't know, you know, not this particular instance, but, you know, increase of intensity of use feels to me like something that is good to know about,
Yeah.
because businesses do have global locations, right? And, well, they always have.
Well,
Haven't they?
Yeah,
yeah.
they've opened it for pets, you know, they have, people can bring their pet or comfort animal, whatever.
I don't know the original, but this, you know, again, they're not here, so,
But yeah, small things as opposed to larger things, that's what we have to iron out.
Can I run through just,
Let's hear it.
I just could say, I'm an owner of a small strip mall. Okay, I have X amount of tenants in there. Okay, one tenant leaves, another one wants to come in there. They have an entirely different business than what was in there. Where do we go with that? Is that?
We have
That's-
two,
I
we have
forgot
two, yeah,
exactly
we have
what it is.
two of those, we have a change of use and we have the regular multi-tenant application. So we're gonna have that covered in our zoning. And they usually come in, it's not a modification, they come into the planning board and we do it usually in one meeting, a public hearing.
But when they come in, we require them, if I'm correct or incorrect perhaps, we require them to show us everything. Location,
It's,
of say a cooler or something of this nature.
We'd like to see that. I don't know that we really need to require that inside the building or something. Anything outside the building, yeah, we should require because it affects the whole site plan there, but inside the buildings. I don't know that we really need to dictate where things have to be.
Say what I want to put in, and put a recording studio in there. With a, iron metal group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, then
sound, we have, where do we go on that?
that would come in with the multi-tenant application, that would be in what they're gonna be utilizing that building for. So, yeah, if it was a bunch of different noise or a bunch of smoke or whatever coming out of there, then that would be dealt with then. Yeah,
Are the butters notified of protest in that application?
they are, yes.
Oh, so.
And they have a chance, and we have a public hearing too.
Here's what I basically want to see, and this is why we want to talk about it here, because just trying to feel the room, seeing where you guys are. I want to see a project statement, just a brief paragraph, what's going on, right? I want them to write it out and tell us exactly what's changing. I want to see a revised site plan to scale. Ideally, it's the originally approved site plan, and they bubble what's changing. If you guys aren't familiar with that, everything that they're changing would be in red, very clearly bubbled, circled, starred, however they want to show it. And then on that site, and then they would have an amended history box, so you can see all the times that plan's been amended. Those are all very basic building plan review processes.
So then if the little guy came in, then you'd be able to print off something just like that to
We can
scale.
print those off at the office.
And then they'd be able to just draw on their building.
The problem with that is that that's not what was previously approved.
No, I get that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, moving forward, seeing as how we're discussing all this. Because if some just landscaper or whatever that wants a little shed somewhere to keep some of his equipment or something, is
Yeah.
gonna be able to. Why should we make him go out and do this big giant site plan for a little dinky building that he wants to keep some gardening equipment in,
Yeah. No, that's very fair, but it's the site plan.
And if we're gonna have like one rule across the board, that might kind of make it harder for the smaller business, like the people that were just in here versus a bigger business. But if you're able to print those out,
Yeah.
then, I think that's a good idea.
I feel like we want to see the originally approved plan. Because that's the whole point of the site. application.
And you have that over there in the office.
You would,
You
yeah.
could give them a copy of it anyways, and you could give them the list of how the site has been, because they may not have owned the site. for
Exactly.
2 years or something, and they didn't know what the heck went on before that.
Yeah, we sure can.
So your department probably should give that little box of how the site has been amended or changed over the years.
Well, we can't draw anything on the plan before the act.
No, but you can give them a list.
We
Print out a piece of paper and they can attach it to the drawing if
Yes.
they wanted to.
Yep, and then going forward, they would be responsible for that.
Because again, we're talking about modifying the site plan, which is not much,
No.
shouldn't be much in there that they can do to just come in a regular meeting and modify it.
Yeah.
Everything else should be a public hearing.
At best,
So,
we just need a more formal process.
yeah, I don't know, I might be with Brandon a bit on this. And just a simple modification, they're repositioning a building, doing whatever, it's
Mhm.
very small there. To make them come in, aside, yeah, if you could even print out like that and they could draw it on there, fine, but to make them come in with, a bunch of hoops and stuff
Yeah.
there
Yep, that's fair.
for that, but we always have them, other things that they're wanting to change the site plan in some way, adding a building, something like that, we always have them come in. I mean, do it, they don't, if they're a small business, sometimes they don't always have to have an engineer do it, but it always has to do what you're talking about.
So will there be a threshold? So I feel like if we do this, we need a threshold.
Yeah, we do,
If we cross the
that's
threshold.
what we're talking about,
Yeah.
what a modification is.
Mhm.
And that threshold would be, changing the position of a building to face east to west or something like that, maybe might be on there. See what else we need to think of, they're just minor, small things that can be done.
Could the threshold be, whether any reasonable person would think that it would be necessary to have a public hearing?
I think it's too subjective,
That's too subjective.
but it's not for me to decide there. There's
Yeah.
no-
But no, you're right. Probably not that way. We need to just set a few parameters.
If you want to take some time to think about it, if we can maybe bring this up again next meeting, I could bring up some suggestions,
Yeah,
I just.
we can think about it, but let's come up with a
Yeah.
few that we can think about, say, so would it be, repositioning a building, we had one of those back there where we repositioned their building, I don't know, 10 feet or something like that. So we'll say moving a building not more than 10 feet or 20 feet. Something like that.
Yeah.
That's 20 feet is a lot, so.
Yeah.
But-
size of the building after moving too, right?
Well, those modifications that I'm referring to there would be before they actually built the building. They come in, because we do get that site plan, come in here, and then they get with their construction guys and figure, well, this should have been like this, that should have been like that, and they come in here for modification, we give them a modification, because they're right at the site. It's a minor matter that does not really change the overall character of the site plan,
Yeah.
which maybe we ought to have in there something, maybe that
Maybe
ought to be
that's
some of the
it,
word.
change the overall character.
Change you overall.
But can you just define a little bit more, when you said the word character, what's the picture you're looking at?
Footprint, not changing the footprint.
Not necessarily that, but sometimes they do change the front of the buildings there, but the character,
Character layout would still be the same.
yeah, the layout would have to be the same. Parking, it doesn't change parking, shouldn't change any of that.
What about topography?
That's all, that's not a modification, they're gonna change topography, they're gonna be.
Well, if they're gonna move a building and they're gonna have a level area.
We're only talking about, they've got a sideline about them maybe tilting a building like that, or like this, nothing very major. So, just minor deviations from the site plan.
Okay, did you work with that, minor deviations? So-
And things like lighting would probably not be a modification, it could be, I suppose, but lighting that affects neighbors need to hear about what's going on. Yeah, outside lighting is not a modification, so we could name things that aren't modifications, Stefan.
So, and I might have just overlooked it and everything I was looking at, but. What in the RSA's allows us to do site plan modification? If it's not a site plan review.
I haven't seen it in the RSA's, I don't think it addresses it, to my opinion, it doesn't address it, I don't know.
I haven't seen it.
No, I don't think it does.
Cause like all the other municipalities that I've looked at. And we're talking about, if we're talking about comparative in size, like Peterborough, like they have major site plan and then they have minor site plan, and we do the same thing on our board in Keene. Cause like, as of right now, modification, there is no site plan review. And there's also no public hearing.
Well, there needs to be a site plan before there can be a modification of the site plan, so they did have a site plan first. So then they're just modifying it a little bit, and that must happen in Keene or Peterborough or wherever. Because these contractors come in and things do change, minor things change, and they need an easy way to come into the town and say, look,
You make them do a minor.
and, but,
What,
So,
what is,
sorry.
what is a minor site plan review then? What is that? How is that different from
So
application?
it basically comes down to like the intensity.
Okay.
So like for Keene, if you're doing like brand new construction and everything, that's major.
Mhm.
And then if it's minor, it's like, they'll do it for anything like changing use or like, if you're shifting something, things like that.
Mhm.
And but we don't really have anything like modification.
See, I suspect that the reason we don't is that we've tried to make Swansea a place where, little guys can
It's streamlined, yeah.
streamline it, we can not make people jump through a bunch of hoops and what, it's probably how we got to where we are. But I wonder if there's something in what you're saying that we could, use in our.
If we could get
friendly
away
way.
with just having a form, but
Yeah.
like. And I'm not saying a complicated form, but like a very thorough form.
Yeah,
I have some drafts that I can bring to the next meeting.
Yeah.
We don't need to be like anybody else, right? We need to be like.
Right, exactly.
Right, definitely. So, but I mean, looking at another municipality is a good idea, just to get a baseline. But we can bring in a few ideas, we can mull it over,
Yeah, form would be good, we do need a form anyway, so
one page.
if I've had one.
Yep, that's
And-
one page, easy form.
We just need a few examples of a minor subdivision, subdivision of minor, site plan review modification there, minor modification, and what is not a minor modification.
Yeah.
Something like that, in that form.
And so a lot of times there's a percentage threshold, but then how do you measure that percentage? That's the problem.
Yeah,
And again, we don't need to do anybody else. So we'll bring a few ideas forward at the next meeting and we can continue this. And we have some solid.
and on that form, it's just clearly indicated that the planning board will decide whether it is a modified site plan or they need to come in. We always have done that, but it needs to be on that form. So the person knows that they're coming in and they not get.
And I think you're going to accomplish a lot if you require this project statement that you said. You know, because I think that helps people to clarify what they're thinking. You know, we get this very sketchy kind of sentence and then they start talking and we realize, wait a minute, there's a lot to think about.
Project meetings are great, just a quick paragraph, of what are you doing? Just, that would be printed off, put in the packet, you guys can look at it.
That's going to be huge, I think, that would be.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. My thought is, listening. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are no longer in the 70s or the 80s where we can just kind of say, okay, this is the way we're going to do things without having it down on paper or without defining it. There's too many opportunities now, or it's turned to too many opportunities where litigation gets involved because of our lack of definition of what we actually really want to do. So I think the more we can tighten things down, I know for smaller companies or businesses, it's a little bit rough, but if we can do things like this and we have that mission statement that they have to put forward, I think we can tighten things up to make everybody happier and have things on record so that we need to go back, so that we have something concrete to refer to.
Yeah, we've needed it for a long time to really define it. Because we've done them all through the years, but we do need to define it.
To protect ourselves.
You guys have been working.
Yeah, no, because of the GIS software we have, you know, we can print off scale site plans.
That's pretty nice.
And they're a little outdated, sure, but it gives you an idea of the space.
And it works, because I measured it, the thing is to scale.
Yeah.
So it came out, sometimes they don't come out right.
Yeah, always a few feet of leeway, right?
Yeah, no, it came out.
Okay, so would you put that together for us? I think we can put it into our little.
Absolutely, yeah, you guys can look forward to some examples next meeting, and we can talk about it.
You gonna email it to us or?
I can, yeah, I'll email it to you for you, probably before that.
All right.
So read it.
Yes.
So to my understanding and talking with like other municipalities and older planners and that is supposed to just straight up be a site plan. It could be major or minor, but they're supposed to be a site plan. Public hearing and all.
Well, in our zoning, the multi-tenant can be a multi-tenant if there has been a previously approved site plan. I believe that's how it's
So
stated.
it's kind of a type
So
of
it has,
modification.
it's sort of, but it has a it has a modification. It has the site plan approved by the planning board as a multi-tenant. And then they can come in and change tenants, obviously, is what that's all about, and change other things to it, but it's had to be a previously approved site plan by the plan. And it usually is. Unless we miss something. So, okay, let's move on to, what else are we doing here?
Okay, so let's go to the top of the list here. We can talk first and foremost about definitions, and I just want to have broad discussion on definitions. Are there, you guys were able to look at this list, hopefully before the meeting. I wrote down a couple of definitions I would like to see defined in our code. That being personal service shop, service establishment, daycare facility, anything else.
Let's start with Victoria's.
Yeah,
A few weeks ago, Victoria brought in, and that's a good
What
split.
is that?
the contractor,
Okay, yeah.
no, this was
Kind of
defining contractor. What
Right.
contractors are.
Okay.
Yeah, but this was in the context of these contractor.
Yeah, and these are new definitions. These are new definitions we're talking about.
Yeah. we understand.
Okay, so what I did is I looked through the current approved uses in every zone. I would say about 50% of those uses are not defined. For a good reason, because a lot of those don't even be. I mean, a lot of those are pretty self-explanatory and, they don't really give a whole lot of room for leeway. And I don't think all of these need to be defined. I think, yeah, that's what I was talking about, you put it in a very good way, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think we want everyone to strict laws. Yeah, we don't want everything defined.
We don't, we're gonna shoot ourselves in the foot and tie our hands behind our back.
That's not what I want, but I do think something like personal service shop or service establishment, I think those are the tweak or define.
Yeah, well, they're coming up, you know, they hadn't come up before, but right, and we need to define that.
Yeah, daycare facility, I only brought that up because there's a wide variety of what that means. And so maybe we can at least zone in a little bit on that and define that further, but. If anybody has any other term.
We're probably gonna have to put in a definition of a charging station or a charging or something or other, because we're gonna be hit with those probably at some point in the future, so let's get it in definitions.
Yeah.
And concept for doing.
Yeah, contractor.
Yeah.
Well, on the charging stations, for commercial and for private.
Probably so, if it's as a residential, then we have no jurisdiction over that, so it has to be commercial for us. Yeah,
Would we say a multifamily is commercial, or would we say it's private,
if it's over 3, it comes here.
comes commercial?
Well, it
Also
comes,
residential, I would say, but I mean, I see what you're saying.
yeah,
So,
Back in the day, I might have given this to some of you guys, I went through the zoning and extracted every single last use, and one of the things that happens in our bylaw is we have, for example, we have childcare facility, daycare facility, daycare or kindergarten facility. Okay, a childcare facility is permitted in the industrial park. A daycare facility is permitted by special exception in residence and in village business one. And a special exception in the business, and a daycare or kindergarten facility is permitted in rural ag. Okay, so
one then, right?
that's, you know, I don't, it's like a major pain, you have to clean that up because you have to put it before all the voters, right? I don't know how you express that, but it sure would be sweet if we could address that as a problem. Now, do you have a copy? I know a big one just stuck on.
it's on there, I guess, prior.
Yeah.
I feel like it's in
I mean, but it's just a way to,
Oh, no, that
this,
was beautiful.
wasn't that beautiful?
So I
Spreadsheets, oh.
love tables like that, and
Yeah.
a lot of people have those in their ordinances, where they have a spreadsheet of use on the left,
Yeah,
zoning on the top, and then just
exactly.
like X where it's
Exactly,
permitted,
what
so.
this is.
I'm not saying we need to do that, that'd be lovely if we did that, yeah. it would take
It's so
work.
easy, right? Because you can just scan down, you know, we'll add, okay, here's all the lists. But it gets funky in our town, because we've got these multiple definitions of what in my mind is the same thing.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know how to do that, but I would love to.
Right,
So we also have like a hospital or licensed nursing home or a nursing home. And it's, you know, permitted in one place or another place. You know, you've got a lot of things like that.
Nursing home, licensed nurses.
Yes, hospital or
Yeah,
licensed
sure.
nursing is permitted in rural ag. And a nursing home is permitted in commercial
So
industrial.
that would,
I guess not.
it might be an ability term.
yeah, well,
It's just.
then I'm thinking, what about like, I'm sorry,
Right.
To be redundant.
But don't they have a myriad of grades? So I go up to like 6th grade or something like that.
what do you,
For what, sorry?
yeah, I believe so.
But, yeah, we're talking about kindergarten, daycare, kindergarten.
Yeah.
Thing,
That-
yeah,
that
that might be a little outdated now.
Now, this, you know, the state has all kindergartens in public school, so the daycare wouldn't be involved.
Such a thing. Unlicensed nursing.
Well, actually, we're kindergartens don't have to be a public school, they can be private.
But it has to be an accredited institution, but it's.
Sure, that's easy to get, if you've got, if somebody wants to start a home and they're a accredited teacher already, it's a slam dunk for them to do it, but.
So, again, this is just an initial kind of getting feelers out there. I'm seeing positive reactions from wanting to update some of these terms. Does anybody have terms that haven't been discussed yet that you want to see updated? This is gonna be a lot of work, and so we don't have to do this, we don't have to nail down terms now, but.
And we just have to keep in mind about the warrant articles.
Exactly, so We need to get those out.
I mean, keep in mind that each definition is its own warrant.
Yeah,
So,
oh, right.
You know,
You don't wanna
you
have
don't
30
want to put there, yeah. you don't wanna
So
put
we,
that.
so we get files.
Oh, yeah, good, for that, you know, I mean, you gotta make sure you know a little bit from last.
Yeah.
I mean, probably will, but at least we're at 50.
How about I put a priority list together for next meeting, and then we can reorganize that priority list, and I mean, we have it as a top 10 of what we want to see.
And maybe one would be consolidating the terms that Victoria just talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
Well,
The one definition, yeah.
you want a spreadsheet, you want it on a computer, you don't want this.
Yeah, I think we already have it.
You have a version, because I've updated it to put the new,
Oh.
what passed with our recent zoning amendments.
You want to email it to them, so about that.
Yeah,
You have that on digitally? Okay, and if you can email that would be great.
okay,
And,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
oh, so sweet.
Yes. Okay, so that's the main, that was one of the things we wanted to cover today, just the questions. One of the other things was industrial park district uses. I think one of the main omissions in there was that industrial park was not a permitted use in the industrial park zone. Feels like we should have that in there.
It's not. It's a special exception in the business.
Yeah. So I feel like that should be, I think you guys probably would agree.
The fact that it is industrial park zone,
Hmm.
doesn't that kind of tell you that's an industrial park?
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing is a park, it's not one use within the park.
And I
It
guess,
is the area.
and that leads into another point where the industrial park zone we have now currently is not being used as an industrial park zone with what we've approved with multifamily businesses going in there. Is there a want to reorganize them into a non-industrial park zone or move the industrial park zone?
What are you talking about?
Second.
Saturday.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So maybe call it commercial instead.
Well, it's not,
Isn't it tax?
It is taxed from a finance district. It has the infrastructure was put in for that district there, and it has to be.
It's only for a specific
It
period.
is,
of time.
yeah, you have to
15 years,
Yeah.
or it's,
So it's probably time now.
so it's not,
it's very close to being,
Is it close?
yeah.
here's the way it was just phrased to me, it's not developing as an. But,
Which is that a good or bad thing? to you?
right, exactly, so is that, how do we feel about it? There's a multifamily at the front there, there's nanotech right across, got a lot of empty space, Gridiron just got approved off Safford.
Carlisle.
And I feel like that's the thing too, though, because like, yes, it's the industrial park zone, but like, what is the limit of industry that we want here in Swansea too? Because like, anything beyond like nanotech, what is that gonna look like?
Right. Just off the bat, there are a couple properties, there's a couple of residential properties on the edge of that zone that do need to be taken out of the industrial park zone. And they have expressed interest in being out of the industrial park zone. I can get you guys in that next meeting, but it's just 3 parcels.
Further this way.
Yeah, that don't need to be, because they're residential properties. So I think that needs to be on there, we need to redraw the industrial park zone, and did not include those properties.
That's a simple one, right?
Yeah, and so that's really it for the industrial park zone, again, it's. It's not failing necessarily, but it's also not going away. I think it was initially, but I've only been here 4 months, so like, it's things with a massive grain of salt.
It had something to do with the terrain there, I think is why.
Right.
It's a little expensive to develop up there.
Terrain and wetlands there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Negative factors.
so what else would it be suited for?
Water and sewer, right? It's,
Goes up there,
yes,
goes up there
development we've got, but
for housing. I mean, that's what the housing is gonna follow. So.
All right. So, industrial park. That was just a brief conversation. Mike, no, So Route 10 redevelopment / rezone potential mixed use zone. There has been some discussion about how Route 10 should be redeveloped, rezones, mixed use. How does everybody feel about that?
Part of the whole corridor, pretending. We have a pretty long 10.
Forest takes up the whole of it.
Yeah, that's in progress. They.
Once they sell that property, that's gonna be tough to do anything.
At one point, it said that there's still a ball. A little further up.
Further.
Basically by the mix, like so it's like.
Oh, and then, yeah.
Yes, and probably ending,
Going south next.
yes, on south of mix.
Okay.
Like, the gas station. Not the Marlowe's gas.
Route 10, getting married.
They're currently all businesses,
Yeah, which
not bad necessarily, but I think
There
there
would be the change, what's the
to allow more mixed uses.
mixed use meaning?
Yeah,
Well,
we don't have,
what are you talking about mixed use?
yeah,
I also wouldn't necessarily say this would be rezoned so much as like you could change the ordinance to encourage more mixed use.
And again, encourage what kind of mixed use.
Yeah, with that line makes you.
That's.
Residential and business.
So, on the economic development action committee, we decided we would review, food tags in the primary areas. And see if we can actually get more granular with the business district. And perhaps have a retail, area, go to the commercial area. And the thinking is that if we have a designated retail area, then, it's hard to do because so much of it established there, but if we have that, that might actually attract more retail business. Shopping, stretch, so it's the commercial area where we have industries and stuff like that. So that's something that I actually presented, and we're really just embarking on that. Another thought, that, I'm gonna share here is, Yelp Forest does take up a lot of time. It might be beneficial to us to rezone some of the Yelp Forest to kind of meet that retail business criteria. So if we'll ever decided that they wanted to, start selling their land off, let's already zone appropriately for something that we might see would be more desirable than that. So you have some thoughts.
It's all commercial right now. It's all over that.
It's all business.
Yeah, business and
And
residential.
then a lot of the Yale is also rural.
But when you go out, so.
Yeah, nothing, 100 yards off of Route 10, zone that differently than or less than close.
Well, I guess on a master plan right now, the guide is, we want to see what the people want to see in that thing we did. They want to see all the commercial development right down the alleyways of 10, 12, and 32. They would want to push out too far to the east or west on Route 10. Maybe go in, I don't know, 100 yards or so, but they wouldn't want to go way out into the forest.
Yeah,
They want to see green space.
Right.
At one point,
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
at one point, Sarah, she was here, was putting out feelers with Yale about swapping some lands so that we could have an industrial site again after losing the portion that we did to Lab. And I don't know where that wound up, how far she got there. I think we're gonna. So that
what rate do we swap, or we don't, Thomas, about that?
Again, she only mentioned that, she was looking into that, what she had in mind for swapping with that line, I really don't know, I just said it might be something that we contact that.
We've approached
Parcels.
Yale 3 times that I recall in the past. And they've come to the board, met with us, and each time, they had no intentions of letting that go. They wanted to be enforced, regardless of what.
So first of all, it's a big tax write-off.
And we can still zone it that way. It's nothing to that. If the town wants to zone it that way, the town zones it that way, that's it. But, if it's zoned, see, I'm wondering if it's zoned differently, will it be taxed differently?
It's probably a current use right now.
I don't know.
Recreation.
Yeah.
Two, which gives them the best tax break.
We can continue to work with EDAC, and present something a bit more simple.
So
Sorry
right,
about that.
but right now we have a, map.
Yeah.
We have a list of all the businesses, and we're gonna comment on that map, so it's visible to us.
Yep.
And then see if we can come up with, kind of theme there.
And again, we can, the town can go ahead and rezone that regardless of Gail talking about it.
Yeah.
But in the whole plan, be realistic about what we really think will work. I mean, that can be rezoned down there, but may or may not be developed, but other areas further south on Route 10 probably will be developed. There's three-phase power down there now. It doesn't have the water or the sewer, but it does have three-phase there. So that's more realistic to see what might be encouraged going in there.
properties. Also the whole area, like entire warehouse.
So the idea was to come up with something to actually present to this board. I'm not even just a meeting.
Somebody do want something. Yeah, we can continue to work on it. All right, so something a bit more solid and a bit more tangible is, I want to gauge interest in slightly decreasing parking.
Well, did you check the new law that I told you about?
I did, I couldn't, I saw something in there about parking.
Yeah, there was the first time it's parking. Now, according to the new law, we can't require more than 1.5 spaces per unit animal. And there's also what they call the alternative parking, private, where the developer comes in and he has X amount of units, but he doesn't have enough space, he can come up with an alternative plan. And even if we disagree with him, he gets to do what he wants to do.
Well, so right now, our ordinance already allows for 20% reduction
Right.
if he has a space delineated for parking for future use. So I think, I don't love it, but it's in there.
It's like a business too.
But yeah,
Not just residential.
I'm talking across the board. I would like to see it just a slight reduction in parking units amongst.
But where it's gonna have its effect is residential.
Where
That's gonna be the most effective residential because they'll have more units, be able to put more units.
Oh, sorry, minimums, yeah.
But I would double read that law again too. I will see how that will affect us.
Yeah,
I think it will.
I have an inkling that there are going to be projects in the future that are going to need variances for parking, the way our code is written. Right. And I think regardless, they're going to need variances, but if we can reduce them, we need to talk about how much if we are. So, well, if we have any projects in the future that need parking and our parking.
We want to be careful about that, otherwise we're gonna end up with what T-Bird has down there on Base Hill Road,
I haven't seen that.
that thing just sucks, the whole thing about
You mean the intersection, or what do you mean?
it. Everything, just that little dinky parking lot that they have in there for that plus the Dunkin' Donuts drive through, so traffic is always backed up right out into the parking lot, so it makes it impossible for people going into the store to go in there and park. And
Well,
I see it almost every morning when I drive by there, way into her.
we have stacking requirements that should hopefully prevent that. I guess go on that topic, we would like to also see bailout lanes for drive-throughs. So we would build a drive-through, we don't want walls in the drive.
When both of the Duncans were put in, we didn't have a zoning thing on drive-throughs at all.
Yep, and now we have at least,
There's something.
yeah, but wait, I want to see at least something where you're able to build. I think that's just a thing. I call it a bail, something, it's a bailout, yeah.
Just a third lane.
Yeah.
In some cases, but
You need more,
it
you need more space, but I'd like to be able to get out of the drive-through.
does make the property work better.
It does.
Just
It
like
does,
the
'cause even
slip
though
lane on Route 10 makes it
Yep.
beautiful. on Route 10.
Yeah,
Even the one in North Swansea, at times you can see it back right up the wall.
well, that'll grow, yeah. So, there are some alterations there
And
that,
that wasn't necessary because they own a lot next door too.
yeah.
There's a reduction in parking, I like the see that area remain green, so should it be down the road?
Yeah.
There.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It should be.
Well, that, you're talking about two different things here. You're talking about a reduction in parking on the site plan. That, it's gotta remain green, but we're talking about a reduction in parking regulation. That's what we require, regardless of whether it's green space or not.
I would push back gently on the idea that that area needs to be set aside for future plan. I wouldn't want to see that. I would just want to see a reduction. I think the idea behind a reduction is to just have it be a bit more, on businesses who might not have the space. I don't think requiring that space to be used for future parking, I don't think that's gonna be a good idea, because then you might as well just require the parking.
Now, what would you require a parking space to be on, based on square footage in a store, say, or you? Like,
Well, it's already based, I think it's already based on square footage now, because of the use of, not always, it's not always true, yeah. It's, we would need to go to the parking table and figure out what's best for each use. This is gonna be a larger discussion. I just want to gauge interest.
The reduction you're talking about, though, is like an across the board requirement reduction, not the reduction that we currently have in our zoning now.
Yeah,
It's that you can reduce if you have the space later on to go, like you were talking about there.
Yeah,
It's a whole different thing we're talking about here. A reduction is not the same reduction.
exactly. So say you require one space per 100 square feet, we can reduce that by 0.5 spaces per, just in like.
Are you talking strictly business?
Yeah, across.
Well, the problem is there, if you get into a business situation, and you're saying, okay, you can only have the X amount of parking spaces.
No, sorry, he's talking the minimum, so.
Minimum, okay,
Yeah, they're always able, so they're always able to go over.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, my point was, the way you kind of, or I was reading it, was that you're going to wind up restricting customer flow for business, because you're only gonna limit, or allow so many parking spaces. You're reducing it by, according to the square footage of the building.
no, not across, here's a big example, so we wanna lower the floor amount, right? We wanna lower the required number of spaces, but they can still have as much parking as they want, that's not, so.
If we do that, then we're gonna wind up with the person that comes in here with a project. He wants to save as much money as he can. So he's gonna put in the absolute minimum.
That should be fine.
But what I'm saying is, if we're gonna reduce or say, this is what you need to do. Or you can do, then to my feeling is we're restricting. To a degree. The amount of customer or flow that can go through that area. We need to keep it at least one.
But that's a poor business model on their part, to not provide enough parking. So why would we do that, Jason?
Why? I don't know, I'm not going down that road.
So, I think without solid examples, I can get the parking table and we can make adjustments and then we can talk about those adjustments. And figure it out. Again, this whole purpose of this discussion is to gauge interest. I'm seeing mixed interest in this. Is it worth talking about further, or is this worth tabling until the next cycle?
Let's prioritize. The site plan modification or the modification to the site plan, that is a priority.
That doesn't mean.
But yeah, no, I'm not a warrant, but I mean, prior to this board is working on.
Yeah.
That first, because those come up quite a bit afterward, okay, and then zoning, then this definition stuff.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll prioritize those.
Yep.
And if we have time, possibly part of this.
I would say 80 before
I
parking.
don't think parking, so I don't think parking is above, our next topic.
So let me just make one more point, parking is, whatever we decide, we want to make sure that, we're not creating a scenario where people are forced to park on the roadsides, where we have overly congested parking lots, that we can save just to, silence.
That means our regulations are working.
I will say not for nothing, like, when you look at other places, they have a lot of public with off-street parking, which we don't have as much in here, so. They're gonna have to change some of that.
Sure, nothing.
Not yet.
So one is definitely, like, we do need that as under. But like, the difference between like 1.5 or 1.5, also makes a difference.
So, and then if I go to that, it's Swanzey post office, so the big post.
Yeah.
Maybe, this is the big building, and did they just?
I think-
A lot of that stuff for.
Good place to learn how to drive.
We had nothing better to do with that corner of land.
Down with the grass. Yeah. Like ADU and DAU, this is not really it's not really the planning board to review ADU because that's the zoning board typically. I would like to see those sizes bumped up. Currently, the maximum square footage is ADU. So I guess the main is 1,000 square feet. I like to see. Yes.
They all before I forget this, I keep forgetting to remind everyone to turn your mic on before you talk, just because otherwise the videos are going off. But I was going through the ordinance and I saw that the wording is a little vague. Yeah, it's not living space. Yeah, it just says 1,000 square feet. So technically speaking, if you have 2 floors, but no, it says, yeah, it doesn't say living space, it says the footprint of the building. So like if your building is 20 by 20. Can't count the 2nd floor as like contributing to that. Because that's living space, not. The footprint of the building.
So there you go. I think we need to maybe hone in a bit and have this be gross square living. I don't know. Right now it's 1,000 square feet for a detached unit. There's a couple changes that I think we need to make this a bit more flexible. We can either go down the route of limiting it to a percentage of how large the primary structure is. General rule of thumb in my field, typically, not saying you have to do this, typically, is to have the DAU not be larger than the primary structure. Does that sound?
That would be make sense.
Okay, so now in our ordinance, once I missed it, we can have a 800-foot primary structure with a detached accessory dwelling unit of 1,000 feet. I think the DAU needs to be smaller than the primary structure. Personally, and I don't think it should ever be larger than the primary structure.
But we have a minimum, don't we have that? No minimum on that?
We do know.
And I don't think I have to look at it though, it's like. People have cabins.
We do on the primary.
Put another structure on.
Yeah.
We need cabins on 600 square feet, we want to put 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Backyard.
I'm not saying we have to do it, I'm just saying, yeah.
We're talking square feet, total.
Yeah, gross square footage, very specifically, so if you have a footprint of 500 square feet, that's 2 floors, it's 1,000 square feet of gross square footage of living space. So right now, the way it's phrased, they can have 1,000 square feet.
It's phrased that your footprint, that would be up to 1,000 square feet. So technically, you have 2,000 square feet.
If you have.
It's mine to yeah, or the zoning board, I mean, let's say.
So it says, DAU shall have,
Yeah.
it says DAU shall be no greater than 1,000 square feet. Full stop.
That's it, oh, wow, yeah.
It's vague, I do think that should be higher if the primary residence is a 1,500 square foot house, I think the DAU should be 1,250. Oh, yeah, I think they should be allowed to build over 1,000 to a maximum of like.
How does that settle with ADU law? I thought that was max on 1,000 square feet.
I have looked at the RSA, so if the RSA is,
I don't know if I'm right, but that's what I remember reading.
That's what?
1,000 square feet max on an ADU.
You're talking about state law? Or you're talking state law, and they're setting the maximum for the town?
That's what I remember reading, because they were talking, we were looking into, they were gonna do a second, repeated this year.
Yeah.
One 800, one 1,000.
So recently I looked that up, I thought that got approved,
So I did.
because our board was.
So it's the
talking about
one,
it.
it was the one that we got killed.
Yeah, I remember it getting killed.
1,400 got signed, and you wanna look at that? If that's a dangerous one too.
No less than 750 square feet, but I don't believe it's. But no less than 750, which I think. You know what I mean?
It seems to me like really, the multi-family units that we used to be really buying order 600 square feet.
That's where they.
So I'm just saying that you're concerned because it's not enough space to live in, is that why?
I think if you want to build bigger than 1,000 square feet, have the land, a lot of people here have a lot of land. You should be able to build a little bit bigger. Really, I think 1,000 square feet is limited, and if we can make it a little bit more than that.
So what you're saying, if I have a 1,600 square foot home, it's from my house,
Yep.
I could build a 2,000 AD.
No, maybe raise it by like 250 to 500.
Well, for ADU specifically, you can't be more than 1,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Well, I'm saying with a change, you're saying.
so maybe we raise it by 250, maybe we raise it by 500.
I just call mine a barn.
Well, you're talking about DAU stuff.
Specifically DAUs right now, I'm sorry. Yeah, so DAUs are limited.
It would be time to use the percentage, really.
Yeah,
You get 1,000 feet or a certain percentage of the primary usage, that ever.
And again, I think Swanzey should stand on something. A lot of municipalities use a percentage. I can't speak on how well they work. But using a percentage would ensure that it's not harder than the primary structure, while also giving them more flexibility. So.
Okay, assessing, primary structure, like, my primary structure happens to have this like huge porch around it, so you would think that I would have an enormous, even the living space in my house is really huge.
Yeah, that's always.
So, where are you gonna get, where does that number primary structure come from?
I usually look at the footprint and
Just for the- okay.
no,
Well, if you're saying footprint, you just mean like foundation,
Say-
like which one you want.
Yeah. yeah. So
So then you put a foundation underneath your porch.
I would include gross square footage. So whatever you have, main living space, upstairs, downstairs, gross square footage of living space. Well, it's definitely that it does use.
It breaks it, no, it's not gross, it's, is there factors that have to do with like sloped roofs and the second floor. My porch is inherent as living space.
No.
Yes, the assessment factor.
Well, I don't think it should.
Typically, it does not, in most aesthetics, not only art.
I'm just saying, I just feel like I don't speak.
Oh, we will. No, this is just like, but no, like gross square footage of living area. That's.
That
Yeah.
includes storage. So,
I think it would be that, not gross.
Right then.
Because when you're talking about living area, you're already reducing it from basically the entire structure, like retarded. Just.
No, sorry. Yeah.
I don't want to include this. Or the first level.
Yeah, I think we're getting into. We'll work on it. We're getting, so we include the house, like anything in that, gross square footage of the house, so the primary structure. We don't need to get into the living area, just the gross.
no more than 80% of gross. square-
Something like that, sure, yeah, we could, that's a rough rate.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Exactly, next.
Yeah.
What if you have, what you're saying, your footprint, original footprint, you go up, and you're putting a second floor, and you want to put like a garrison. Where you have an overhang outside of the original footprint, which would increase your footprint double plus, what, 20% or 25%? Where are you there? If all on,
But it's, if it's set to, we're keeping it simple, like we're talking about there, that's the footprint of the building, and if someone does that, then you have the ZBA to go argue that point and say, well, I've got, I've got the square footage up here and that, and it's the overcame.
what I'm looking at. Say a small cottage around the lake. Okay, and I have another building beside it. And I want to go up on that, but I want to expand it for visitors or family. I go outside, the original footprint on the second floor, am I allowed to do that?
Well, that's why gross square footage is better.
Yes, that's what, okay, that's where we need to tie this down.
Yeah,
Not the height of the building, not to
we already have height.
Yeah, we already got some.
but should it be able to exceed the height of the primary
No,
building?
I don't think so.
Do we have that defined?
We have 25 foot next. Yeah. I think that's,
Oh, if it's within regulations, it's within.
right, yeah, if it's within our.
If it's like 2 or 3 acres back.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's,
oh, you can't have that.
and that's the thing, we have such large lots here, but why, I feel like these things are so tiny. Anyway, we did this, like, an initial discussions and all this. I love to see the discussion. The last thing I have on here are septic requirement adjustments, and this was coming to me, he's gonna Mike. That one, I think we'll go for this better, because I still live on septic.
Don't talk about setbacks.
Oh. It's kind of, it's like distance of wetlands, 125 over. We're trying to bring more science into this, because like, if you have your septic 2 feet away from seasonal high water, then like. Where did this 125 come from?
Exactly, but it's been that way. I know.
Because it's really old, yeah.
It is, it's just been on and on and on because people don't like the thought of a septic system being close to a endangered wetland. You know, they know how the thing whole thing works, how it works out, but it's just a thought of it. It's like the thought of spreading sludge from our treatment plant on that field out back there. It's allowable and encouraged by the state, but the thought of it. Gonna do it.
Also, I'm sorry.
We've talked about this before, that.
Like, yeah, Mike Jasper was in.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
That was-
Yeah, look at it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did-
Was that we
Yeah.
needed more data to feel like we could proceed, so I think until we get that.
I thought we got that.
Fair enough.
We didn't get that down?
We thought.
Yeah.
But I also remember the conservation committee asked to hold off on this because they are going to recommend evaluation of this plan. These are ecological.
Yep.
And, you know, the ability.
Hey, you're at the planning board, right?
I understand. The ability we get out of that is what makes it a primary recommendation, secondary. And that distinction could mean a difference in that setback.
Okay.
From their perspective, once again, they're doing the downward to protect the, you know, that's something.
And then creating the state requirement as well, you know, looking at that as well.
Which I think is,
It is, as far as I know, 75 feet. Yeah, but it's a bit of a taking someone's property if they can't put their septic.
where technology change too, right?
Right, yeah.
More efficient.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's what's going on.
well, they are, but a lot of it, you know, of course, has to do with the soil. It's one thing, perfect septic system, but other towns aren't, so you might have to be more than 35 feet back. You got ledge or something down there. You have to back further from that wetland. So. Okay, we'll look at that anyway, again,
Absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
bring us in information.
That is it.
Okay,
For me.
all right. All right. Let's adjourn before you think of something.
Yeah.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Brandon and a second by.
Done.
Hi, okay, we're adjourned.
All right, thanks guys for the discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
When I read you guys more, please tear them to shreds.
Okay.
I thank you.